Black Clover was my favorite out of the new big three, but after the time skip, I dropped it. The animation fell off and Asta started looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger, searching for his stogies. Until recently, I never thought about picking it back up, but then all the content creators that I respect started saying stuff like, "Yo dude, Black Clover manga is badass." But even Gigok is showering this manga with praises, so I did the most same thing anyone else would do. I started reading the manga. And oh boy, I'm glad that I did. But before we dive right into it, there are going to be spoilers about the manga till the end of the Spade Kingdom arc. So if you don't want to be spoiled, go read the manga and come back later.
What do you sit here for? Go, shoot.
The manga just starts off like any other typical shonen. Magical world with society depending on magic to do everything, even small chores. So basically, magic is essential in this world. But the main character, Asta, doesn't have a single drop of magic, and his dream is to become the Wizard King. So yeah, basically he's in the sharpest tool in the shed. So while everyone around him trains magic, he trains in the art of bodybuilding. So when the time comes for the Greenwa selection ceremony, which is basically the day when a magical book selects you and your magical powers become complete, his rival Yuno, which is the complete opposite of him in regards to magic, gets selected by the 4-leaf clover Greenwa, which is basically the most OP Greenwa someone can get. Asta at first doesn't get a Greenwa, but after seeing Yuno get almost killed because of a bug-like bastard that's trying to steal his Greenwa, Asta gains a Greenwa of his own, with a 5-leaf clover on the cover of it, which basically means that a devil dwells in it. And Asta, with the power of the new Greenwa, gets the perfect ability for himself, anti-magic, which basically means he can cut or completely nullify magic with a sword. So after dealing with the thief, Asta and Yuno go to the capital for the Magic Knight selection exam, and both of them get picked up. Yuno gets picked up by the Golden Dawn, which is basically the perfect brigade, and Asta gets picked up by the Black Bulls, the most notorious and the lowest ranked brigade that exists.
So that's basically the first few chapters of the manga, but before we dive right into anything else, I want to dive into the characters, because the characters in this manga are done insanely well. And you can feel the love that Yūki, and yes, we are friends like that, so I can just call him that, puts into every single character. Like at the end of most chapters, he puts a little page of people's likes, dislikes, and even their blood types. To normal people, probably that's a skip, but to me, being a psychotic crazy person that forms bonds with these characters that doesn't even exist, I love every single one of these panels. Maybe not this one, but the rest, hey, they're quite good. So I'm gonna start with the Black Bulls. Characters like Gray, Gordon, Henry, and even Charmy is what I like to call comedic relief done right. All of these characters, other than Charmy, basically have some sort of speech impediment. And you would think they have no characters and they're just comedic relief, right? Well, if you thought that, you would be dead wrong. All of these characters have their moments, like Gray's backstory basically being the same as Cinderella's, and her magic being mutation magic, so she can transform just like Cinderella, and we see Yūki do this with other characters as well. Or Henry basically being abandoned by everybody around him, other than the Black Bulls, because he has a curse that forcefully takes magic from everybody around him. But when Yami first sees him, he's like, "Alright, I don't care that you have a curse like that, I just gotta get a lot of people for you to take magic from. I got you, gang," like the Giga Chat that he is. And even his magic is cool as fuck. He can just turn the Black Bull base into a fucking Gundam. Or even Gordon, the scary Marilyn Manson looking dude that has the purest heart in the Black Clover universe. His magic is poison and curses, so people are scared to be friends with him. But he is man enough to completely change his fighting style, and instead of cursing people, he becomes the best buff magic users for the Black Bulls. I love Gordon, to be honest. His comedic relief moments are fun and quirky, and I can't seem to get enough of it. It was super funny to see him completely misunderstand what his family's business is because all the talk was in murmurese. And my favorite out of this group, Ms. Charmy. She's legit such a cool fucking character. The first time you see her, you look at this little creature, you're like, alright, she isn't anything important, but shit. The way she fights, the way she uses her magic is done incredibly well. Like there is a fight between her and this hair lady that uses hair magic, and she makes fucking noodles out of her. Like what? Food magic is this useful? Who could see that coming? I normally don't like romance in anime, but her crush on Yuno and calling him her food-saving prince is kinda cute, even for me as a basement-dwelling goblin. Now let's get into the more supportive type characters. Characters like Zora, Nero, Vanessa and Finral are the ones I include in this bunch, with Zora being my favorite one of them all. Just look at his design, look at all the spandex he's wearing, look at all the leathers, he looks like he enjoys BDSM. And wallahi, I'm not king shaming, he can do whatever the fuck he wants to do, he's a grown ass man. But the way he looks isn't important at all, is it? Because he has one of the best backstories in this manga. And you wouldn't expect that if you just looked at him, would you? And not only does he have one of the best backstories in this manga, he is one of the smartest characters in this manga also. He doesn't have anti-magic like Asta, he doesn't have insane battle instincts like Luck. The only thing he has is his wits. Like, he's such a wildcard character that if you give him enough time, I believe he could beat anybody in this series. Let me stop glazing my boy Zora, cause if I don't stop, this video is just going to be a Zora review, not a Black Clover review. Now let's talk about Vanessa, or as I like to call her, the Booba Booga. The first time I saw her, I was like, okay, just another fanservice character. But as I got to see her backstory, I realized why she is the way she is. She's been stuck in a birdcage like a fucking canary half her life. Of course she's yearning for freedom. And it was really nice to see Yami save her and be like, okay, I don't give a fuck about your destiny, this and that. If you wanna change that, you're the only one who can do it. Not me, not your whore of a mother that keeps you in a cage. It's on your own. So just do it, Daiki. Darkness, Nike. Her powers are cool also, I guess. She can use threat magic, whatever. But that's not the cool part about her powers. And no, I'm not talking about the destiny part, that she can manipulate destiny and save her comrades unless she runs out of mana. But you know what the coolest part about her power is? She can create a fucking cat, so she doesn't have to be lonely anymore. So she can have friends, unlike me. Now let's talk about my main man's Finral. He has the same magic as Rick, he can create portals and shit. Plus, he has one of the best character developments in any kind of manga. He goes from being a taxi to being one of the best characters I've ever seen in my life. I really liked his story with his brother. They were exact opposites, right? Finral, kind heart, actual emotions, a human being, but not that strong in regards to magic. And his brother Langris, an asshole, a piece of shit, but really good at magic. And we really saw the differences between these two in the Royal Knight selection exam. And I never thought after that arc I would like Langris. But the mad lad, Yūki, managed to make me like him. And that's a common occurrence in this manga. Half the characters start as pieces of shit, but almost all of them do change, other than this piece of shit. Go back to being an invisible cock. Let's talk about the last member of this group, Nero. She is bad. Moving on to our last group, the offensive type magic users. We're going to start with Luck, the crazy looking dude with insane battle instincts and mana. This little fucker is always battle hungry, but his battles aren't the reason why I love him so much. In a lot of chapters, he shows no other emotion than happiness and joy. So when he actually is sad and shows emotions like despair, it hits you hard. Like the scene where he calls the Black Bulls his friends and cries was super impactful for the same reason. Now, if Noelle did that, I wouldn't give a shit. You know why? Because she's a fucking crybaby. Moving on to everybody's second most favorite flame magic user, Magna. Because we all know who the first one is, right? Okay, good. No discussions needed. According to Yami, his biggest assets are his balls. But if you ask me, he has something much more precious than his family jewels, and that is his sex machine 6000. And yes, he's the only one with a customized broom. For the majority of the manga, he doesn't get the spotlight as much as I would like him to. But in the Spade Kingdom arc, he has one of the coolest fights in this manga. And I fucking loved it. Everybody loves an underdog story, and Magna's story was one of the ones that was done insanely well. Moving on to Noelle, the failure of the Silva family. From my previous comments, you probably thought I hated her, but that is not true. In my opinion, Yūki does female characters really well, and that is not common in shonen manga. In the beginnings of the manga, she's just like any other noble, a racist piece of shit. That is because she has developed an inferiority complex because of her family. And we see her struggle against this for many chapters. So when she finally overcomes it, it feels good even for the viewer. Do I really want to speak about the Alabama sister-loving dude? I guess I will, but I really don't want to. I really hate the siscon trope in any kind of anime. And I truly hated Gosh when I was an anime-only watcher. But after reading the manga, I realized that I just misunderstood him. And if you're an anime-only dude, you probably hate him too. And I only have one suggestion for you. Just read the manga. And when you do, you'll realize how badly they butchered him in the anime. Moving on to everybody's favorite edgelord, Nacht. I really enjoyed Nacht. I thought he was a necessary component for this manga. And not only his powers are unique as fuck, he also doesn't suffer the common consequence of being an edgelord, which is having no character at all. He actually has one of the best characters in this manga. And I really loved the way his backstory was concluded. It really made sense why he is the way he is, why he is a suicidal, depressed edgelord. It all made sense at the end, and that backstory made the character complete. Now it's time for the Kapitan, arguably one of the best mentor characters in any kind of manga. Yami. I fucking love Yami, to be honest. He has all the characteristics that I would like to have as a man. But will I ever be like him? Probably not. And you might ask why. And that's because I'm a lazy piece of shit. I'm more in line with Nacht, a suicidal, depressed person. But hey, I'm trying my best. Okay, enough of me spreading depression around the internet. Let's move on to why I love this character so much. Yami is like a father figure to everybody in the Black Bulls. He doesn't care that you are of a peasant blood. He doesn't care that you can't control your magic. He doesn't care even if you have demons inside you. He does not give a fuck. He does not judge a book by its covers. And that attitude of his is the reason why everybody loves Yami. I haven't heard anybody say, oh, Yami is a bad character. You know why? Because he's not. And if you say he's a bad character, I'm going to find you. I will be under your bed patiently waiting for you to fall asleep. And when you do, I'm going to spread Legos all over your room. Hey, so have fun stepping on Legos when you wake up. Basically, that concludes every single member of the Black Bulls. There are still a ton of characters that are well written in this manga, but I don't want to speak about them anymore. You know why? Because if I speak about them, I have to edit more. And if I edit more, I might just do it, man. But seriously though, the character writing in this manga is done insanely well. And it's not like it's carrying the whole manga and the manga has no other strong points, because it does have other strong points, like the world building. The world building in this manga is so detailed with so many locations and so many maps of the set locations, which makes the whole world feel alive. And whenever that happens in any kind of fantasy medium, you know that the author has done an incredible job. And to that, you might say, oh, fantastic characters and insane world building. I can just read One Piece. And yes, you should read One Piece, but that doesn't mean you should not read Black Clover, because these are not the only things that Black Clover brings to the table. And I'm not saying Black Clover is a perfect manga, because it's not. But even if you dislike this manga, you have to agree with me that whenever it tries to do something, it normally does it right. And I've heard the complaints, like the magic system being way too simple or the panels being way too cluttered. To the panel issue, I would say just zoom in or get closer to your book, you lazy piece of shit, and you'll see everything that's happening. And to the magic issue, I would say it doesn't need to be complicated as fuck for you to enjoy it. I don't know where this stigma of, oh, if it's not complicated, I'm not into it, came from, bro. Like, who cares? Who really does care about it being not complicated? If it does its job correctly and it's done tastefully, it doesn't matter if it's simple. Which is the case with Black Clover, and I especially love the way Yūki made world building and powers go hand to hand. And what I mean by that is the fact that people from Clover Kingdom having access to steel and iron magic because they are a more developed country. Or countries like Heart Kingdom being more in tune with nature, so they have stronger and better nature magic. And all these little details add up to make a more complicated system than you actually see on the surface. And that's what I love about this manga. I feel like the only topic we didn't discuss are the villains, and I do enjoy the villains in this manga, but not all of them. Like, I really enjoyed the elves and their backstory, and it was great. Plus, I really enjoyed Zenin and his fight with Yuno and their ideals clashing. But I really didn't enjoy the devils. I feel like other than Liebe, which is my goat, every other demon was kind of underwhelming. They were just evil for the sake of being evil, which kind of makes sense because they are devils, but I would have liked to see them with more characteristics. And keep this in mind that I'm not fully caught up to the manga yet, so maybe they get better. I've only read till chapter 330, but as of now, I don't really like devils that much. But other than that, this manga was one hell of a ride that I won't forget for a very long time. Hey, if you watched my video for this long, you probably enjoyed it. So how about dropping a like, a subscription, or maybe even a comment, because as you can see, I have 2 fat cats to feed and they eat more than me, so hey, help a habibi out, will ya?